Welcome to the Cut Comparison, where we compare and contrast different versions of our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Jennifer's Body, the misunderstood cult classic from 2009 that has a theatrical version and an unrated cut. My kill count for Jennifer's Body, which you should watch before this video, talked a lot about how the movie was mismarketed. Despite the wishes of writer Diablo Cody and director Karen Kusama, the studio targeted teenage boys rather than advertise that this was a more woman-centric film. Similarly, the extended version's unrated label was a marketing ploy to sell DVDs. You won't find any additional blood or boobs here. Sorry, horny teen boys. What you will find is an estimated 70 alterations that subtly change the film, most significantly when it comes to its point of view. The extended version emphasizes the perspective of needy Lesnicki, played by Amanda Seyfried, over that of Jennifer Check, played by the then much bigger star Megan Fox. Though the changes are aplenty, they only add up to 5 more minutes of runtime. Most of that comes from additional lines of dialogue, some of which I was sad to see missing from the theatrical version.
You know, I'm not just your bassist. I'm a person with feelings who happens to play the bass.
Excuse me.
These extra lines and extended scenes show more of this movie's stylized world, allowing peripheral characters the chance for more screen time. If you didn't like the movie's theatrical cut, the extended version probably won't change your mind. But if you're a fan of what Jennifer's Body was trying to do, you'll likely appreciate the additions. Director Karen Kusama, in her commentary track, calls the extended version a director's cut. So I'll be using all three terms, director's cut, extended version, and unrated cut, interchangeably throughout this video. Don't get confused, they mean the same thing. As always, my goal in this cut comparison is to show the most significant differences between the versions. For the sake of brevity, I won't be pointing out minor changes, like when the editing is tweaked a tad bit or some alternate footage is used. Once again, major thanks to movie-censorship.com for the information used in this video. I couldn't do it without them. My Jennifer's Body kill count got restricted for containing sexual content. With 2 different versions to cover, will this video get double secret restricted? Let's find out and get to the cuts. The first change in the director's cut happens right the fuck away. Whereas the theatrical version begins outside of Jennifer's home, the unrated cut starts off with Needy in the psych ward, solidifying this version as a movie told from her perspective. This same shot of Needy is used a few minutes into the theatrical version, but the voiceover lines are slightly different between the 2 cuts.
I mean, I get letters every day. Mostly from perverts and Chesters, but still. I think I get more letters than Santa Claus, Zac Efron, and Dr. Phil combined.
At 4 minutes in, the unrated version gets to the footage that opens the theatrical cut, though again with different voiceover narration. I mentioned in the kill count that only in the theatrical cut do you hear this famous line.
Hell is a teenage girl.
The unrated version's voiceover is a little less quippy.
Jennifer didn't always look this rough.
And it's true, she doesn't look as rough in the theatrical cut. The director's cut uses different footage that makes Jennifer look more tired. Not sure of the reasoning here. Maybe the studio didn't want Megan Fox looking bad the first time we see her in the movie? Who knows? After this, the 2 versions are identical until we get to the bar where Low Shoulder performs. There, we get some slight differences in editing and dialogue. The most notable, I think, is the footage used as the fire spreads. True to form, the theatrical version focuses more on Jen, while the director's cut shows us Needy's face during this pivotal moment. The chaos that ensues once the fire spreads is cut quite differently in the unrated version, with more than 10 seconds of extra footage shown. However, since I based my kill counting off the number given to us in dialogue later, the extra footage here doesn't alter the count at all. I mentioned that the director's cut fleshes out the world a little more, and an example of this is in a scene added after Mr. Robluski finds football player Jonas being nommed on by an uncharacteristically carnivorous deer. In this extra scene, a Devil's Kettle PD officer speaks to Jonas's grieving parents, and his dad yells out at his son's murderer in anger, which is pretty funny to hear considering that actor Bill Fagerbach voices Patrick Star in SpongeBob.
I'll cut off your nutsack and nail it to my door! Like one of those Lyon door knockers rich folks got. that will be your balls!
That's the first change in the director's cut that shows how Jennifer's murders affect the people in her town. Another is a quick shot showing Jonas's sad mom in a window, and a more significant illustration of this happens at the funeral for Colin Gray, which is a full 90 seconds longer in the unrated version. In this extended scene, Colin's friends grieve in a dramatic, performative way. His mother doesn't want to hear it though, and tells them to can it with the lyrical rhetoric.
My boy is not in the realm of the undead. He is not flying around in the firmament on magical wings of flame. He's in an overpriced rosewood box that's headed 6 feet downtown.
Colin's gothy friends are in more additional footage later when they enter the school dance, popping balloons and talking about abortions. Throwback to Juno, perhaps? As with many director's cuts, there are lots of tiny changes that most people probably wouldn't notice. Sure, the 10 extra seconds of flashback footage when Needy's having a nightmare might stand out as a new addition, but only the most discerning viewer would catch all the minor editing changes that take place at the dance. These were done by director Kusama to better line up Jennifer and Chip's kiss with the music playing at the school. It's the type of thing that makes for a more effective scene, even if most viewers couldn't articulate what makes it different. They're probably just too busy jamming out to Through the Trees. I don't blame them. A much more noticeable difference is the addition of an entire 35-second scene in which Needy goes to Chip's house to see if he's there. I'm not sure why they added this back into the director's cut. It feels needlessly plotty, an over-explanation for how Needy finds him later. My guess is Kusama really liked this line Chip's mom says to his little sister.
Camille, let's sit like a lady. No one wants to see your Kiki.
Another line is added to the extended cut after Needy gets to the overgrown pool and sees Jennifer feasting on her boyfriend's neck.
St. Jude, patron saint of all causes, please give me the power to crush this bitch.
Not sure why that one was cut from the theatrical version. The last major change is a scene that takes place after Chip's death. The director's cut shows us the aftermath, with Needy lying in her bed, dirty and distraught. After looking at framed pictures she has with her dead boyfriend and her possessed best friend, Needy steals herself and boots up to go bring Jennifer down. The rest of the film is mostly the same, although the unrated cut excludes the final flashback to Jennifer and Needy as sandbox pals. It instead stays focused on the present, with a couple of extremely minor changes in the footage used. And that's all of the changes. Everything else plays out identically, meaning sadly, the director's cut doesn't give us more footage of Low Shoulder getting their comeuppance. Did the unrated version of Jennifer's body include unnecessary changes, or did it needy les Nikki to happen? Let's look at the differences and Jennifer check it out. Ah, yeah! The unrated version of Jennifer's body is 5 minutes longer than the theatrical version. That extended runtime came from 2 entirely new scenes and a few others that got significantly extended. Though it was advertised as unrated, there's not a single extra drop of blood, and the kills between the 2 cuts are the same at 18. The director's cut features more of the town's minor characters, and the editing is a bit more considered and purposeful. I think that helps with the humor, as does some of the additional dialogue. Overall, I would say to watch the unrated version every time. The only thing you're missing is a couple of lines unique to the theatrical cut, like the one about Hal being a teenage girl. The unrated version just feels richer, and I believe it's the one the filmmakers would prefer you to see. Hope you enjoyed spending more time with this cult classic. The next movie I plan to compare cuts for is Army of Darkness, which I think has 3 different versions, so give me some time to figure out how to do that. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice, and you can consider these cuts compared. Thanks a lot for watching this cut comparison. Like I said, I'm gonna be trying to do extra non-kill count videos on the second Sunday of every month. And reminder that the first Sunday of every month is a live stream hangout on the channel at noon Pacific. For the rest of May, I do have extra kill counts coming out on Sundays. Those will be dispersed in between the original George A. Romero of the Dead trilogy. Thanks everyone, be good people.